And here we go again. We have another great TVT here in this Best of 3 series, and a little bit of a pause until the very first SCVs are in production.
Yeah, I think we had kind of a funny situation there where Well first was saying he's ready and then the host wasn't reacting, and then as the host was reacting he was no longer ready. But anyways, we have our next game of the season and introducing the players spawning to the top right hand side as the blue Terran player. We are looking at the man who's currently up one game looking to close out the series. It is Bratok.
And of course he is spawning cross position. We have the red Terran player who shows himself quite strong against in this very TVT, but falling apart in the very late macro game. It is Val.
We saw a game number one that was very, very much back and forth. We had, first of all, in the very early stages, we had Well doing amazingly good. He was getting a nice lead that then eventually was throwing it away due to some bad engagements. Then Bratok had the lead again, and then eventually Well was taking over again, and eventually Bratok was just pushing through with some amazing maneuvers, was completely obliterating Well's army, and then eventually marched on to victory. And I mean, if this second game is just a little bit like the first game, we still have a very, very epic game coming towards us here.
Yeah, very true. I mean, TVTs can be very long-term, to say the least, from time to time. And well, when on cross position, wow, that can be amazing. But I would actually love to see either player going for a little bit more mobile style, maybe going for a bio play. But yeah, I think Bratok he's very comfortable going for mech, so yeah, we might even see this from him even on that map.
Very true. Already both players starting to scout each other here. They will actually. Yeah, I mean, you cannot really go completely wrong here on this map since it's cross position. You will usually scout the first position wrongly, and then you will find your opponent. If you're not going for a very, very weird scouting pattern where you would scout the first close position and then go cross to that. But I'm sure that either player will just go either clockwise or counterclockwise here.
Yeah, and I mean Bratok with the opener here going straight up for the factory. Um, it's actually okay. He's decided to go for a tech lab here. So I wonder if this is just for Stimpack directly afterwards.
Could
Uh,
be, but I don't think so.
Is it siege tanks then? Siege tanks?
It could be,
Siege tanks and marines, and then going for
but
a very early assault.
I'm gonna call Ravens or Banshees, yeah.
Ah, okay. Because he was
Because there's
investing
not really
so.
such a thing as a quick siege tank rush or something. I personally would have
Hmm.
loved to see a full rush, but I think really neither player is going to make that happen tonight, which is
Okay.
of course very, very unfortunate because everyone loves full rushes, right?
Yeah, love it. And I actually really thought it is the tech lab for the factory because we saw this early on, but he's just putting it directly onto the add-on, therefore he can go straight up for the Cloak Banshee upgrade and very well performed. Yeah, well performed structure plan.
Absolutely, first Banshee is already on the way here for Braddock, whereas Well is now just connecting his starboard towards the tech lab. Will of course also start a Banshee. His cloak will be a little bit later though, but that shouldn't make a big of a difference here for the red Terran player.
Yeah, with the reduced cloak upgrade, um, Banshees, especially in TVTs, come more and more popular. So yeah, I would have loved to see actually some Hellion Banshee play, but you always have to consider to have some anti-air. So really going for more and more Marines in the early stages is more than safe and always very useful. So we do see actually a mine going into the natural. He needs to be careful. Might be picked off here by the Marines.
That mine is very low, so it eventually might burrow itself here.
Oh,
Ooh, just
was
gets
close.
picked up right in the nick of time. Therefore will
Oh,
not do anything.
and there was also a mine here from Val, almost doing some damage onto the Banshee, but it was just not enough, and therefore Val will be retreating with his Banshee. But I don't know if this is necessary, because yeah, Banshee vs Banshee, not too much here to be done. So he will be needs to prepare against these Marines, and he has a mine there in position. Didn't catch it though.
The mine was not perfectly positioned. Now the Banshee is entering the mineral line. Will take on all the workers already. Getting 2 kills. They're getting a 3. Make that a 4. Overall, it already has 7 kills. This is not looking good for Well. Already taking some huge damage. There is eventually the Raven to provide detection, but Braddock's micro is actually brilliant here, microing that Banshee back and forth to minimize its damage, and I don't even know if he knows that there's a Widow Mine, but he's just perfectly avoiding it. Second Banshee comes into the natural, takes out yet another SCV, and they will now focus on what are they? Oh yeah, well, maybe to go back into the main. There are only a couple of Marines, so if you micro stab properly, he should be able to kill off those Marines. There is a Viking, however, and with that he should be chased away.
Yeah, very true. He's gonna get a cloak and will be out of in time, so he can actually get some repair later on. And while at the same time not actually doing any damage, not killing any workers. And yeah, very nice lead here for Bratok, controlling his banshees on the very neat.
Yeah, he has not even lost a single Banshee, so if we look at the lost resources at the moment,
Wow,
that's 950
that's
to
kind of
0.
strange.
That's kind of solid. He lost 1 unit.
Yeah.
Maybe a mule? Can that?
Yeah. Well. It's kind of strange, yeah, that he didn't lose any resources. I think the only thing that, yeah, it should be
Or
the mule.
maybe a turret, like a auto turret. I don't know.
Good question, yeah. But nevertheless, then Bratok will be taking map control now, without Xanagataro being taken by the Marine, which does get forgotten by quite often. Not a huge investment, therefore granting a lot of map vision, and well, we'll be taking the third base right now. Needs to establish this, and will in fact go for the Mac play.
Yeah, that is not really surprising. I mean, Mac play in TVT is especially popular. Of course, there are
Hmm.
some players who uh are refusing to play Mac. They are relying on their bio play a little bit more just because they are more confident with it. But usually Mac has proven to me I cannot speak, has proven to be very effective. That's all what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, just needs a lot of practice, and you need to
Yeah,
get your
English
build
is a very hard
orders.
language.
No, I mean on the on playing Mac. I don't mean your pronunciation. Okay. So it is actually Braddock with a nice little yeah, unit composition, I have to say, just to do some light harass here onto the potential third base from Val, but there is none in position, therefore retreating for the moment. Setting up actually double command center, double expansion. You normally see this in from Zerg players, but no, Braddock is the one making it possible here on this very map.
Yeah, I mean, since Val is not really trying to be aggressive by any means, he's just free to do whatever he wants. He basically has
Hmm.
perfect map control. He now spots that there are a couple of Hellions moving out. So he should maybe scatter around his units just a little bit to have a good overall vision on what is going on to prevent those Hellions from actually getting anywhere. He will spot them or he will find them in the middle of the map. They will go towards that third base, but of course there are no real units there. Only the 1 or 2 SCVs that could be killed off.
Yeah, and I think that going for double command center is actually in reaction to, yeah, to see these factories here from Val, because yeah, if the army is completely on one side of of the base and going to attack, you could just transfer all your workers to the other side, and yeah, every time it doesn't really depend on which race you're playing. You just go for bases spread out, yeah, to be spread out, and also giving your opponent a hard time to actually move from one point to another.
Absolutely. Val is already preparing all his siege tanks to be sieged up in the perfect position. He's already getting his defenses ready, already putting up a couple of sensor towers to see what is going on exactly. He already sees the army of Bratok coming in here. He sees that there's a lot of dots, so he probably thinks, yeah, that most of that is Marines. He now actually goes for the scan, so he's now for sure also scanned by Bratok here to see the army of his opponent.
So
Nice
auto
point
turrets.
defensive drones though, actually.
Yeah, point defense drone, of course. Oh, but one Raven actually been taken out here already. And Bratok doing a good job here, trying to do as much damage as possible with the Banshees already, and then try to go for a really good conclave, but well, is well positioned, I have to say. Therefore, the siege tanks are, yeah, are actually quite hard to break. Oh, but is he actually going to go for the main base? Here we go.
He tries to slip past those siege tanks, now he's spreading off the bio. Will take out that Thor. That will not do anything on its own. Down goes the bunker. There is one siege tank in the natural, but it is not sieged up. And GG is called! Bratok
Wow.
takes the game in a very, very convincing manner here. 2-0 for the Terran player there. And he will advance into the next round.
Well done here indeed from Bratok. Even though I have to say Val did quite well, especially in the very first game. Holding strong until even the late game, and really reacting properly to what Bratok is doing. But in the end, the mech, especially on this map, I think is kind of hard to execute if you're not in time with your production.
Absolutely. And looking at the grids right now, if I'm reading this correctly, Bratok will play against Cass in the next round, which definitely would be a game to look forward to. So let's maybe get that, and while we're waiting, of course, doing some shameless plugs here, do click that follow button, very much appreciated. Helps us also to get to the big 300, which we are just like, last time I checked we were sitting at 298. So if we could cross that 300 today, would be amazing. Also follow us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, links are all down below. And I'm already seeing we have our next lobby set up here. That is what I call quick.
Yeah, very true. Um, we had actually a ZVZ on our minds, but this is just a phenomenal TVT coming up here for you.
Indeed, as I mentioned previously, it will be Cass playing versus Bratok here. And I mean, we saw Cass previously against Wytra. He was doing a phenomenal job there, took out Wytra 2-0 and therefore eliminated him from the tournament. And he now will play against Bratok, who also was doing an amazing job against Val. The question though is, can you compare Val to Wytra? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, Cass is just a monster. He plays so many games. Maybe we have a very quick look on his total career games, and it is actually 18,000.